Luna, that 11-part harmony is for you. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon as our newest emo veteran. We are so grateful to have you here, and I hope that that song is proof. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't want to hold anyone up any longer. Let's all wish Pat the happiest of birthdays with the King for a Day episode. Happy birthday, bud. It's the big... Oh, no, you're 31.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were together for my 30th.
In the cabin?
Yeah.
Really?
That's what that was for.
I thought we were just there to write some music.
We were.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it was like a joint, your birthday, my last...
Yeah, we were celebrating some stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of things
between
going
the
on.
three of us.
Yeah.
But that was the main inspo. And so you and Zach came down and we went to the Boone area, went to Grandfather Mountain, did some hiking, wrote some music.
Yeah.
Did some hanging. Watched a lot of Community, honestly.
We did. So much Community, more than anything, probably.
And we did a very out-of-breath mini episode about best albums to climb a mountain to. But a year has passed. We're fathers now. And
yeah. Oh my God.
Crazy.
You just had a kid at the time of release of this episode.
Yeah. So we did this for Tom, where we worked ahead so that he and his wife could have a couple months to rear a child.
Yeah.
So.
And those few months of not having to record episodes was amazing.
Yes. So it is not my birthday today, except that it is. If you're hearing this, this was released. And what's fun about this is we broke decade for Tom's birthday earlier this year. So I wanted a piece of that action. So we're changing it up.
Yeah. And I'm actually like really tickled about this because you introduced me to this song when we were at my house marathoning.
And I was 10 years late to it. So.
Right. But you were at my house introducing me to the song when we were marathoning, prepping for my child. Now that I'm at your house marathoning recording sessions, prepping for yours, we're finally talking about it. So it feels a little bit full circle.
Yeah. Well, we got the listener feedback and they were like, hey, it's okay to break decade every once in a while. So we figured we'd start for our birthdays as a little gift.
Yeah.
So our little gift is King for a Day by... I'm going to forget the name of the band. We just watched the music video.
Sometimes
by Kellen Quinn and no one else. Yeah.
But Gerard Way is the singer of My Chemical Romance. So
Exactly.
it's not me this time.
Gerard Way is the lead singer of Motion City Soundtrack. Let's just start
Pierce the veil.
Let's just start the show. Sometimes you pierce the veil. Sometimes the veil pierces you. Let's start the show.
What is going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast. That's a hell of a cold open.
There it is. When you are pierced by the veil, it's less fun. No, I actually I don't write for the site often. We try to do it a lot, but then we both work full time, etc. This is just a hobby. But I did feel compelled because after hanging out at your house, this song did, in a very real way, take over my life for months, plural. The YouTube algorithm kept shoving it down my throat. I'm like, fine, I'll watch it. Plus, you can't go like a minute on emo Twitter without someone having a meme or some take involving the phrase, dare me to jump off this Jersey bridge. I bet you never had a Friday night like this. Some version or combination of the words in those opening lines just lives on the tops of the minds of those who partake in emo Twitter. So I finally dove in and I was taken aback. And then we were talking a few weeks ago about you mostly in the scene when we were mad, we were just jealous because we were aware of our own insecurities or whatever. And this, in a very real way, I was pissed because I was like, there's so much music that I just missed. And then I look back and you think about Brand New Eyes and Danger Days and all the shit that we just went to college and just stopped.
Yep.
So we're trying to sort through the wreckage of us turning a blind eye. Plus, when we left high school, I wouldn't say the scene was in great shape. There was some, we talk about why we don't talk about Brand New so much anymore, things like that. So we just kind of turned and went in a different direction. And some of the world did too, but not everyone did. And Warped Tour was still, or at least was a zombie at this point. I'm not sure, into the mid 2010s, but yeah, in 2012, things were alive and well in terms of breakdowns. We'll get to all that later. But I wrote the blog.
Hail Mary.
There's a little bit of emo voice in here. Yeah, forgive me indeed. There's a little bit of emo voice in here. A Star is Born kind of a vibe. We watched the behind the scenes footage of the video. We'll get to that in a minute. I think I'm just mad because it's so fucking good. It's so good. It's possibly the perfect
song.
Combination of everything we lived. It's like we got to live through the decade, and I didn't allow myself to enjoy the fruits of all the bad versions of that breakdown, all the bad versions of those features, all the bad versions of the emo voice, And then this is just kind of like, oh, this is what we were working towards the whole time. This is just the perfect song. And, we talk about bands we're not necessarily fans of on the show a lot. I couldn't tell you that I've gone deep. Like, YouTube made me aware of this in my adulthood. Like, I wasn't there at the time. I wasn't appreciating this. But when I wrote the article for the site, it was just essentially saying, like, missed this, man, and this is so good, it makes me angry. The way Jon Stewart reacted to seeing the Book of Mormon for the first time. Yeah, any thoughts on this? Because you were watching from afar as it was actually the only song I listened to. My wife was like commenting, like, I think you mentioned this, where when you're in it, the people you live with are aware of, and I talked to probably you and my wife more than anybody, for better or worse, from doing the show, and well, obviously being married to her and living with her and having a child with her soon. But so it wasn't like neither of you really said anything, but it was just like, I can't stop, man. I just can't stop.
Yeah, I just a few minutes ago was like, are the rest of Pierce the Veil songs good? And you were like, I don't know. I've never listened.
Yeah. And what's interesting is in the video for this, and I guess we'll get to it right away. I want to do some fast facts first. They won't be that fast, but they'll be maybe a little bit fun, hopefully. I think we switch it every week anyhow.
There'll be facts.
They're so young. They're so young. The behind the scenes footage. Kellen is so doe-eyed and is just essentially saying, like, this is my first anything. And I accidentally sang into my hand like it was a microphone, like doing what I do in my bedroom. And they were interviewing Vic. And he was just basically admitting, like, yo, I'm really nervous. I just looked up and saw them taping Kellen's parts, and he's fucking killing it. And they both came in with this kind of raw energy, and there was like, well, I'll just skip right ahead to what Vic says about the song, right? What it's about. And it's loosely, being pushed to a breaking point, standing up to the people who think they're better than you, try to take advantage of you. He added that I felt like I wasn't cool enough or good enough for some people. It's a very angry song in retaliation to these bottled up thoughts and emotions. So when I wrote the article, it was interesting kind of coming off of over the 20... Will you stop taking photos of me? You're breaking I can't really take that.
You say that as you were taking videos and photos of me like all last episode.
I would have stopped if you said no. I know. But yeah. In a weird way, I need you to be reacting to what I'm saying, because that's what we've been doing for 5 years. So like, I feel like I'm just talking to a boy when I'm not. So that's how dependent I've become on you, just like breathing into my ears while I speak on this show.
Just a human laugh track. That's all.
Well, it makes me feel great, actually. You should know this. It gives me confidence to continue talking on the show, more or less. But yeah, like there's a little bit of like anti-1% stuff going on, and which has aged super well. Like it's more than just the bet you never have a Friday night like this emo Twitter punchline anymore. It's just kind of like, it's great. And it's also, if you know the show, we love a heist music video, don't we, folks?
My God.
We just love them.
Hoobastank serves them up like it's nothing.
Hoobastank are the OGs for sure. Ocean's 11, eat your heart out. But this is a really good bank heist music video. And at the risk of going 4 hours on this, I'll just jump into the fast facts unless you have any thoughts, fears, hopes, dreams, aspirations.
Nope.
All right. Well, we'll just keep running right through. We'll start with the basics here, because this is a new decade. This is new everything, a band we're not familiar with. So, Pierce the Veil, American rock band from San Diego, California, which, looking at their hair and tank, the amount of tank tops in this video, it's like...
Makes sense.
Nope. Yeah, it checks. That tracks. Formed in 2006, founded by the brothers Vic and Mike Fuentes, after the disbandment of the group before today. King for a Day was released in June 2012 and features guest vocals by Kellen Quinn of Sleeping with Sirens. Did you know Sleeping with Sirens at all?
Yeah, I actually listened to their first album a bit. They had that song like I'll Be the James Dean to Your Audrey Hepburn or whatever. It was good. I remember, really standing out how high pitched that dude's voice was. And there was like a period of time where it was like the dudes had to have real high pitched voices to be in like metalcore bands. And I think it was probably because of Sleeping with Sirens. I enjoyed them for like a summer though, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's possible just to be high for the sake of high, but there's something about the way he delivers the lines in this song that works.
Great.
On like I'm getting ahead of myself. It's off. It's the first official single from their third studio album, Collide with the Sky, the band's first release with Fearless, according to Fuentes.
Third album? Damn. Okay.
Yeah, interesting. According to the front man, quote, the theme of the album artwork is jumping off the ground that is breaking beneath you. The idea is to inspire hope amongst the chaos that may be happening around you.
Ooh.
All this stuff ages pretty well into the second half of the 2010s. And maybe that's why we enjoyed it so much in 2021, hearing it for the first time. The album debuted at number 12 on the album debuted at number 12 on the Billboard 200.
I love how you overcorrect and like the album
debuted and the single charted on the U.S. Billboard Digital Rock Songs, where it peaked at 29, and on the Hot Rock Songs chart with a peak of 37.
Where are we?
Yes. Filling in for Geraldine, who has gone on to track the migrations of squirrels into northern Canada. The song also peaked at 28 in the UK rock and metal singles charts. November 2014, the song was certified gold by the RIAA for having sold more than 500,000 units. But
nice.
By 2019, it was announced that the single went fucking platinum.
Oh my, what?
I know.
Nice.
Selling more than 1 million copies digitally. That's
God.
units digitally, I guess you'd say. But
and I mean, that makes it sound like it wasn't sale equivalents. They actually sold 1 million copies digitally. That's a
probably sneak to 1 million before Spotify takes the reins. I don't know. The 2010s were wild. I mean, we focused on the 2000s. This is our first venture into like like I guess grappling with every event in the 2010s. We've only been sticking to like the 2000s at the moment. So
like before algorithms really were a thing that tried to serve you hot content.
All I know is that this song went platinum. One of the
nuts
early 2010s late scene acts. They did the damn thing, and it was
for them.
We joke on the show and we talk about the 2000s a lot. If you're joining us and you think this is a 2010s emo show, we're not. This is kind of uncharted territory. I'm like very nervous about this. But thoughts on like a late scene 2010s Warped Tour act going fucking platinum. Not that they were the only ones necessarily, but deservingly so. This is a perfect video and a perfect song. Ooh. And it makes total sense. But we may be not the best audience to be asking, but like we weren't super aware of like, because it was still very Warped Tour-y. Like it had sectioned itself off almost from our view to like, they were doubling down on a lot of the things that we were paying less attention to through the years. Because there was like, once you heard the Wonder Years, your life pretty much changed.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so one of the things about this show is that we stopped it at 2010 to like kind of make us be more creative within the self-imposed constraints.
Plus we went to high school there, and it's called like we tried to, literally we wouldn't be, based on how little we know, like we'd try not to venture this far into the 2010s.
But like, so there was like it was probably the fourth generation or whatever of pop punk, but like when the Wonder Years put out Suburbia, I feel like it was no longer the early 2000s. It was like it was the 2010s. And at that point I started listening to like Real Friends, Knuckle Puck, Man Overboard, Transit, stuff like that. So like this whole previous generation of the stuff we talk about on the show, I kind of just stopped listening to. And I mean, it was a huge mistake, in retrospect, but like the bands we talk about, we didn't follow through with beyond 2010. And I somehow just totally missed this song. I had heard the name Pierce the Veil before, but I couldn't even tell you what they sounded like. So Yeah, I mean, when the show eventually does open up to later years, it'll be fun to see how off the rails.
I'm glad we didn't talk about anything past our senior year of high school, which was 2009, because we also we weren't exactly in step with the front bottoms or like modern baseball and shit either. So it's like, you and I each had like a band every 2 years that we'd discover, and then like, I don't know, we'd visit each other every once in a while and keep the friendship going. But I think Zach and I came down to DC a few summers in 2012, but it felt like those years kind of flew by. But anyway, the larger point here is that Warped Tour was very much alive, but it seemed like it had doubled down on a lot of very distinctly 2000s, I guess, tropes, right? Like in this song specifically, like the announcing, like it wasn't just like, oh, there's a lot of double bass lately in the scene. It was like, oh, they straight up describe and announce, and there's like a prelude to the whole breakdown. You know what I mean? It's like a celebrated event. It's like, it's like time traveling back or forward or something. You're like, oh, the culture has really globbed onto this particular thing that wasn't really this celebrated just like 3 years ago. But it's in this song, it's such a beautiful and insanely chaotic, violent thing almost. They like pray. It's kind of a prayer in itself. We'll get to it later, I suppose.
So you said you'd never been to Warped Tour, right?
My sister went to some of the early ones, and we had a really old, one of the old canned waters with the story printed on it. I think they go on eBay for like $40 nowadays.
Nice. So I had told on the show many times that I only went in 07 and 08. But then I forgot that I actually went again in 2013 because I was working with Taylor Larson, and we were tracking Youth in Revolt at the time, and they were on Warped Tour.
What's tracking? Just following around?
Recording them. So like they were in the studio for like 5 weeks, and they were playing Warped Tour just that day in Maryland because, it was in the middle of their recording. So like we all took a day off and like went to see them at Warped Tour. And I do remember 2013 Warped Tour feeling like a different universe than 2008 Warped Tour.
Can you have are there 2 or 3 things that jump to mind as to why? Because I mean, in my head, of course it's different, but I have no frame of reference.
I mean, it definitely did feel, it was less neon for sure. And it seemed like a little bit heavier. Like I do remember.
But also there's that Jason Derulo t-shirt with that super neon era style Pierce the Veil t-shirt, which is like one of my best favorite internet things. But that's not to say things from 2008 or 9 just died. Of course, there are some elements, I'm sure, but.
I specifically remember seeing bands like The Word Alive rather than bands like The Starting Line.
Yeah.
And The Word Alive is great. I had a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah. I don't think this is a statement of quality in any real way.
Deceiver is honestly one of my favorite albums of all time.
And if you look at some of the behind the scenes stuff, they were hanging out with Kellen and everybody, and you can see why they were buds. But they, someone recently, there was someone on Twitter defined that kind of folk revival thing as stomp, clap, hey music, which is not my joke, but it is fucking objectively hilarious. But like,
oh, clap, hey.
We were trying to wrestle with how to do this episode, and this is something I guess we'll just touch on. But like, I would imagine if someone saw Kenny be famous, they'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna try to be the Starting Line."
Yeah.
But maybe 2.5 years later, you could either be stomp, clap, hey. Yes. Or be like, oh, we're going to be... Now, that's not to say Pierce the Veil. This is just like, Pierce the Veil's unfairly in an episode where we're like grappling with our age and youth, lack of youth, But there seems to be like, the bands were just naturally heavier. I think like the bands in the Erie scene were definitely influenced fucking heavily by passing trends and things like that. Timing is everything, as they say. But, I think we're just noting that like, Warped Tour is still going on, but that doesn't mean everything... And obviously, there was good and bad that came with that. And this seems like one of the greatest goods. I don't know. I mean, according to the YouTube algorithm, I don't see a ton of... I mean, they really fucking shoved this thing. So, like, based on an outside perspective and what I've seen them play to me as a millennial on YouTube, this is the Black Parade of the 2010s. You know what I mean? Like, that's like my frame of reference.
Blazing!
Buckle up! For a very ill-prepared take. No, but and that's seriously just only from the perspective of like how often I see the thumbnail on YouTube.
You know what's crazy is on YouTube autoplay, it doesn't matter since that weekend you were at my house, anytime I watch a music video, This fucking music video auto plays 100% of the time.
They're doing you a favor. Okay, let's get through these facts.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that video. It was announced that King for a Day would be, eventually it was on Rock Band 4 when pre-ordered digitally with Xbox One. Awards include AP Reader's poll Best Single 2012, Kerrang 2013 Best Video, nominated for Best Single Kerrang as well. August 2012 is when this legendary King for a Day video was released. Nominated, like we said, Best Video at the 2013 Kerrang Awards.
Nice.
Directed by Drew Russ, who would later be involved with their music video for Bulls in the Bronx. They talk about the Bronx and Jersey a lot for dudes that are from San Diego. Again, we looked into this video specifically a lot, but I have to assume, obviously, if they're on Warped, so they would have seen the state of New York. But
Right.
I guess the references, I don't know if there was an influence of some sort.
We were just talking about Mayday Parade not too long ago about the dizzying amount of geography in one of their songs.
Yeah. The art's great, so I'm not going to question whatever that,
Yeah.
First of all, let's just give a shout out to Hubert Smalls.
Oh.
Okay. Talk to me about the beginning of this music video.
It starts off with like a minute long scene, which is typically not something I'm trying to watch in a music video, but it's very well executed. What is the actual first frames that we see though? I forget.
I think it's the clock ticking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kellen and Vic are
At their computer.
they're just at work at a bank, and Hubert is the bank manager. He's kind of a schlubby fella who we learn quickly through, I'm jumping ahead. He is greeting people at the door. He's very fake, very nice.
Super wonderful day. Man.
Yeah, right. But then then we learn that he's calling a staff meeting. People have to come in over the weekend on Saturday. He wants Kellen and Vic specifically to stay late Friday night and help the books look good. I wouldn't call it an audit, he says. And then he thanks everyone for their teamwork. And then he smacks the ass of the nearest woman standing by him and says the phrase,
"Oh, milk does the body good."
That's exactly what he says.
Fucking scumbag.
If we were watching a movie as a kid, there'd be like a really ominous dude that would come into frame who was obviously like the villain in a Disney movie. And my dad's favorite joke would be like, "Oh, he seems like a nice guy." And he said it every time. And
Dude, that is an awesome dad joke.
he said it for years. And I respect the commitment for sure. And I enjoyed it myself.
That's amazing.
He seems cool.
He seems like a good guy.
Yeah. And pretend to be really shocked when he was, Anyway, it was a good
That's
dad.
hilarious.
Yeah. Hey, he's a funny guy. But this is that moment for us. Like, okay, so Hubert doesn't seem to be the hero of this story.
Yeah. All right, guys, I hope we're all having fun. I am really tempted to sing again, but it took way too long to get that harmony done. But I do want to break in here and thank our emo elders. These are our top tier Patreon supporters. In this group, we have Andre Prevost, Johnny Leftwich, Jason Carey, Anonymous, Chris Lukey, Nathan Eshelman, Drew Edwards, Kerry Sanchez, Melanie, and Devin Booz. Thank you so much to everyone that supports the podcast. It truly means the world, and we have been able to fund some really awesome art projects, buy new equipment. We're really putting all this money back into the show because we really want to provide something really fun for you all, because this is so fun for us to do this every week, and it truly means the world that you support us. If you'd like to be some of the first people to see this new art project we're working on, we are releasing some stuff today, and everyone in the Patreon is going to get that stuff a lot sooner than the rest of the public is. We're going to unveil what we've been working on for 7 months, and we're so stoked. If you'd like to check it out, you can head to patreon.com/reminiscent. But that's enough of me. Let's get back to the episode.
So Kellen stays late with Vic, and they talk me through. I mean, we haven't really heard music yet.
Right. Yeah. Lots of just like exposition of the scene. And I honestly think they do a really great job making it look like just a very mundane day at, was it Capital Cash Bank?
Also, it should be noted that Kellen and Vic were expecting to enjoy their weekend before this little huddle.
Right.
Like they look at each other, the clock's ticking.
Oh yeah. He said, he points at the clock to show it's 5. And Kellen gives like the biggest like shaka. Oh, they're from San Diego, so it makes sense. He's nailing it.
Maybe. Oh, okay. I didn't know it was called a shaka. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, yeah, dude. Like,
Tubular.
right. And in tubular, their weekend would have been.
And,
but it ends up being even more tubular, Tom.
Oh, shit. Actually, you know what? Now that I realize, they got this whole thing together in an evening. They planned a whole heist in an evening.
Yeah, so they find out they're going to be audited the next day, and they plan an entire heist and execute it before the next day's audit happens.
In the yeah.
Which is quick work.
So we start to hear a little bit of the main riff, which is a pretty interesting scale. And they're looking
Yeah, it's like, what would you call that? Little, like, it's not muted strumming or anything, but what would
it's just like finger picking.
Finger picking.
Yeah. And the guys are, looking through the books, and they see that Hubert Smalls had a transfer of $2.5 million to like a Swiss bank. And they realize what they're doing is they're staying late to cover his tracks.
Helping the rich get richer.
Right. And they decide, my friend, you, sir, are not the good guy in this scene.
Power to the people.
And they take fate into their own hands at that point. But a few things are happening.
So I would say this, a lot has changed. If anything has changed on Warped Tour, it's less about the Madden brothers commenting about how the douchebags on the baseball team were pretty mean to them at tryouts. Now it's
murder.
Pierce the Veil is taking down the fucking patriarchy. So, like, after the financial crash of the late 2000s, like, people are appropriately way more pissed. So it's like sticking it to the man isn't just like a jerk in high school. Now it's like, oh no, the 1%, like, eat the rich type shit. And they proceed to plan a heist and do exactly that, starting with Hubert fucking Small. And they go to their, like, the watering hole they would have gone to after work anyway. And they recruit who are people played by the band members.
Yeah.
One of them has what's on his shirt?
Oh, sorry. It's like a "sorry we're closed" sign, but it says "sorry we're dead." And I need that shirt.
Yeah. But before they get into the plan, there's some opening shots of them performing, right?
Yes.
Can you talk to me like a little bit about the behind the scenes stuff? Because Kellen's younger than I think people might realize.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because I feel like I had some of this realization watching the behind the scenes of the Helena music video, where it just seems like Gerard Way is just on. Like, he is performing his fucking little heart out, and every move that he makes looks so perfect. But in some of the behind the scenes, they just showed the B-roll, like the shots that didn't make it into the film. And it was like, oh, he's an awkward, nerdy kid who, performed for an hour and they took the best 20 seconds. And it was like kind of humanizing to see him just like trying things out, and like some of it didn't work, so they didn't use it. But
yeah, he was joking with Vic, like, this is my first like anything. He's like, oh really? He's like, yeah, like it happened so fast. Like,
yeah,
they just were discovered or whatever, or his band, and then this song came along. Or I don't really, we didn't go into that much detail looking things up for the show, but he was nervous, and so was Vic.
Yeah,
but they kill it.
Yes.
They fucking super kill it. But he was so nervous because he had mimed speaking into a mic that was not in his hand. He was like, I don't know, I just like doing what I do in my bedroom. And I'm like, Vic was like, no, dude. He's like, yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Man, you killed it.
Yeah, you killed it. Yeah. But they were so supportive. And honestly, there felt like the song is too good to fail almost. And they knew they were on one a little bit, like, which we see personified a few scenes later when they walk into the bank with their suits on to execute the heist, which was like the standout meme of the pandemic, weirdly.
Yes. Yeah.
It was kind of like people would basically screenshotted that and said the 2 doses of the vaccine entering my bloodstream. And it was an amazing, again, emo Twitter loves to meme things based on this particular piece of 2010's content, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, we get some performance shots where I really love the way that there's like green paint dripping down the guitar, and they did it so well to where, like, when you're playing a guitar, it's kind of like to the side and at an angle, and they had the paint dripping, so it looked like it was dripping straight down when he's performing with the guitar on. And it was, I don't know, man, I just think that's like such a cool visual. There seemed to be some consistency between him and I think it was the bassist had some of the green paint.
Yeah, the other guitarist had a black guitar with the same color green.
Oh, okay.
Vic had a white guitar, and it made for a nice little
yeah. So I mean, it was cool, and like, it's
like this grimy element of like, again, this was pretty anti
Yeah.
1%, understandably so after the financial crash and everything, like kind of like dealing with the fallout from that into the early 2010s. But like Shake the Earth Underground and everything, there's definitely like this, like, you know, in that interview clip they have on Wikipedia for a quick Google for this song, it's just kind of like, oh, it's about sticking up for yourself. But no, it's about burning the world down for injustice. Like,
Right.
and that's the level of energy that Kellen brings to his, you know, his just like, he's sitting in the bank chair just like, look, we'll die too, like, but this bank's going down. You know what I mean? Like, there's this, and then there's the grime on the guitar. It's just like, look, man, it's not going to get much worse, so we might as well do something to at least end it or make it better. I think people felt that fucking way. Like, for people who are fucking Gen Xers, who are fine, whatever, Reality Bites, if you enjoy it, then I'm not going to like try to ruin your fun. But everyone, you know, they talk about how Nirvana's family members heard Smells Like Teen Spirit for the first time and were like, oh, I don't think the world's ready for this. Like, I think we're allowed to be equally as hype about King for a Day by fucking Pierce the Veil, dude. The energy and the execution and the visuals, it's just like, dare me to jump off this Jersey bridge. I bet you never had a Friday. It's just like, what? There's green paint on the guitars? And then Kellen comes in with like high pitch, but like still kind of sinister. He's like pulling it off in a way that's fair. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, I mean, his performance too is like when he's doing his part, he's either sitting back in the chair with his feet kicked up on the desk, or he's literally stomping around on like the bank's
like, this
front
is my
desk.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah, and it's awesome. He is totally owning
it. And he's pulling off the emo voice. Like, we talk about Never Shout Never and stuff because we talk about the 2000s so often. And he does the most egregious use of the emo voice I've ever heard, but it makes everything better.
Give it to me. Let me hear it.
Enough's enough. We're done. I was going to say, you have to at least try it once too. And I honestly thought about this for months. As I was listening to it, I'm like, this is really good. I like wanted to hate it at first, but I'm like, God damn, they crushed it. I'm only mad at myself for not being one of those guys. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's so good. It's interesting. One of the bassists, I think, was talking about in the behind the scenes video, like, well, we wanted to do a heist video because basically, you know, I used to work at Costco and I wanted to rob Costco. And here we are. And Vic was joking with him like, so you're trying to teach people that stealing's cool? He's like, no, I'm trying to teach me it's fun. And I don't know. They all seem pretty green and having a good time with it. But
yeah.
Anyway, we have some performance shots and then we get into the kind of the meat of they put it's called the plan.
Yeah,
like it's a little like, you know.
Yeah, there was a couple things in there that were like real goofy, but like I don't know. I think they were really flirting the line between like a little bit campy, but also like doing it very, very well.
Yeah, which is the theme of this whole thing, right? Like the breakdown, the emo voice. Yeah. There's a little fart punk energy, but Jared Reddick's not mimicking Stain on a toilet. Like, these are dudes that are like, it's a little silly, but they're here to like kill Hubert Smalls and end his life, man. So like, there's a sinister element to it that is very relatable for I'm getting a little too you know. I'll draw it back a little bit, but it's very hype. It's very fucking good. It's very good. Is amalgamation the word I'm looking for? It's just like this perfect thing that came from a decade of very weird shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so like they're in this bar meeting up with the other band members and they lay down a briefcase, they pull out some papers and just like in the thickest bold typography it just says the plan. And I can just imagine the guy at Kinko's like, I'm not gonna ask questions.
Yeah.
But just such bold typeface, and it's there's a layout of the bank, and it's really funny when it's like you have to go like silent film because there's music playing. Everyone points so intensely. It's like basically the big red arrow on YouTube or like circling the obvious thing for like the, you know, viral tech now Instagram story, just like pointing at stuff just to get the point across to the listener. But you can tell they're plotting something. And I guess as we're building to the breakdown, we see things unfolding.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to say was just like, I'm oversleeping like a dog on the floor. If you've ever, like, we talk about how it is to, you know, be 23 and mad and down. And they encapsulate it in such an interesting way. And being kind of starting to learn how to be sure of yourself or grow up into adulthood and be like at least a little more comfortable with like at least who you are.
Yeah.
And the simplicity of the line, you told me to think about it, well, I did, is either, and again, months of just this on repeat trying to figure it, but it's so simple and fantastic to me. It's just like, I did. Now I don't want to feel a thing anymore. You know, and it's just like, they are literally just saying the message and conveying the energy they want to without any fat to trim or anything or wasted space or energy.
We talk about that like Taking Back Sunday, All Time Low poetry.
Yeah.
And that's appreciated, but also the simplicity. I mean, a lot of the reason why I love the Wonder Years lyrics are just like, it's so stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
There are parts that are, you know, these beautiful watercolor paintings of lyrics and poetry, but sometimes it's just like, hey man, you know, like literally says hey man in the song, and like think about it, or you know, well I did, and just that's it. It's so simple.
And it's kind of the showmanship of all of it is tremendous. And we're just gushing, but we do that every week. You know, we talk about MCR might be beloved for the same reasons Kiss might be beloved, but like you put a little slime on your guitar and you're the grime guys. You know what I mean? Like you're as real as you feel and present yourself to be. So it's kind of like,
boys are a little dangerous.
It's like, yeah, right. It's just a little hint of it, but it's like, you told me to think about it. Well, I did. All right. We're going to shake the earth underground.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't
start a new revolution.
Like, I don't know what's going on in San Diego, but like these dudes seem to mean business, you know, like, yeah, it's just like, you know, if it quacks like a duck type stuff, but, you know,
if it quacks like a weeb.
That's right. Exactly. Precisely. Yeah. So let's just do the breakdown, man. They're in the bank. The buddies are there. They take our sunglassed, black suit, men in black looking protagonists who kind of may have given themselves up by dressing differently for work that day. If I think about it too hard, but
a little sus.
Well, hey, Hubert gets at gunpoint. He's typing codes.
I don't want to gloss over the fact that they walk in slow motion. They got the hair underneath the sunglasses.
Their coworkers know.
Drip.
Drip.
The coworkers are
into it. They're like, I'm glad somebody's doing it. They're like, yeah, it's fucking us.
Right.
You know?
And they get these slow motion shots of like the coworkers like winking at the guys like, oh, it's going down. Like right now, this is the plan, you know?
Also, if you hate heist movies, you are allergic to fun. They're tremendous. Heists are tremendous.
So I remember watching the movie Inside Man with Denzel Washington with my dad and like loving it because of the twist at the end. So after watching this video 1,000 times with you, I made Megan, my wife, watch Inside Man with me because it reminded me of this music video. And at the end of this like blockbuster movie with Denzel, I was like, you know what? I think Pierce the Veil did it better, man.
Yes.
In far less time as well.
They didn't have this breakdown that we're about to talk about in that movie.
Yeah, we get a slow build.
It's every VFW chugga I've ever heard in my life was worth it for what they do here. They pray beforehand. They ask a higher spirit to forgive them for what they're about to do.
Hail Mary, forgive me.
Yeah.
Blood for blood.
Hearts beating, yeah.
It's
come
so
at
awesome.
me, quote, come at me now, this is war. With this new beat. And then yeah.
So, okay, we did the riff draft and probably f***ed up the whole thing like we do every week.
For sure.
This song itself could have placed 3 different times in the riff draft for 3 different riffs in this one song. It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts. The breakdown is so sick, and it evolves. Even the breakdown itself is evolving over time.
And also continues to tell the message and spirit of the song. Like,
right.
It is the earth underground shaking, make no mistake about it. Like, everything about this song sets up new heat, new layers. Kellen comes in and compliments it. And just when you think the song's going to hit an awkward bridge or something, Kellen's there again to support it and keep it moving. And even after the bridge, that's the case. The momentum is never, like sometimes there's a clunky bridge, especially in this genre, especially with these types of breakdowns that happen in the decade we talk about normally. This is one cohesive, fluid thought. And it's tremendous. And gnarly. Pretty brutal. I mean, you would know more than me, but it felt at least somewhat brutal as a compliment.
It starts off just like raw brutality, and then they bring back the opening riff over the breakdown, which I think is so nice. It's such a nice, like, bit of thoughtfulness to like how to properly compose a song.
You know, I don't know if this was a production thing or what. I don't want to take away from the songwriting because I don't literally know the band that well, but you know, there's like little layers like that adds a little bit of I'm going to use the word eerie, but you know, it's dissonant or something. It's
yeah, it is.
But also it adds kind of a melodic nature. You know, it's just kind of like, it's not just bump, bump, bump. You know?
Right.
I can imagine being at band practice being like, okay, yeah, these are the bones of the, but you're in the studio and you're like, oh no, come in with the,
right.
And you're just like, ooh, that's fucking nice.
Yeah, that's the magic of writing. I mean, I don't know what they did, but the magic of writing in the studio is like hearing what you've been playing in the basement and be like, what if we added a 17th guitar part over this? Our one guitarist band has 17 lines.
Well, the song's a living thing. You watch bands you like through the years and they'll play it differently live 10 years later.
So while the breakdown is happening, what is happening on screen? Because like the whole heist is unfolding at this moment.
Yeah, there's Tom, you said out loud, or we both thought it. It was like, wow, some of these like butt of the gun hits in the behind the scenes thing look really fake. And then we forgot that in the video, Kellen takes a ketchup packet out and he's like, he braces, puts it on his forehead, gets hit and falls back as part of the blood. And then Hubert Smalls is tied up in a chair by this point. All their friends from the bar have officially stormed the bank with bandanas over their face and things
and they're
like that.
creating this scene to make Hubert think that chaos is unfolding and that like his staff is in trouble.
Yeah.
But he's the only one not in on it. So they're pretending to beat the shit out of each other.
They take Vic down, you know, to get the things, but Vic's leading them to it. They knew they're executing the plan that was in the bar table that they were, you know, scribbling on paper. But Kellen has some ketchup on his hair and face and then winks. And you know, the plan's going really well. The guys are holding Hubert at gunpoint and he's crying. And okay, can we talk about the pee?
There's so much pee.
Hubert Smalls must have had
a lot of milk that day.
Yeah, milk, coffee, water, orange juice, all the above. He just was. He had made a New Year's resolution to stay hydrated because the hydration's coming out of his penis in the form of urine. In this instance, at gunpoint, and it's dripping so comically, like cartoonishly. Yeah. Like again, there's still like elements of the fart punky zaniness. It's just like it's like too much pee, but in the context of the video, it like still it still feels intense. And he's crying.
I don't know if this is just like a weird like boy energy trying to prove their masculinity when they're like 8, but like I don't know if you ever had these thoughts of like, oh, this taser is so powerful that you'll piss yourself. Do you ever think like, I bet I wouldn't piss myself. Like I'm above that.
I always think the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones thing where it's like, I'm not a coward. I've just never been tested. I'd like to think if I was, I would pass. Yeah. I always think the opposite. I'm like, man, I'm soft as hell.
Because like
that's my biggest fear for real is like, I don't know. I bet that fucking hurts.
There's a part of me that thinks like if I was held at gunpoint, I'd be like, just fucking do it. But the other part of me would probably piss everywhere. I don't know which one I'd be that day.
Yeah, I probably would just be some weird combination of like paralyzed with fear and Midwest polite, like take my wallet if you'd like. No, it's okay.
Sorry I upset you, my friend.
Yeah, just like, hey, no.
Sorry.
I don't know. It depends. Again, never been tested, as the Mighty Might say. So you'd like to think you'd pass, but it's hard to know, right?
Yeah.
And we are just two guys in a bedroom full of soft material to make the noise sound good for our podcast. So like, don't take our word for it.
Super soft.
Right, exactly.
So at this point, they hand him a pad of sticky notes. I don't know if he got this, for him to write the codes on.
Yeah.
And there's a comically thick like marker that just says codes. So they hand him a pad of sticky notes.
They're helping the viewer a little bit there.
Right. Codes. And it's like so bold. So you can see the word codes, but you can't really see the code that he's writing down. So like half the guys take off for the safe. The other half is there, shotgun still pointed in the face.
And a few of them get away.
And the big reveal.
The big reveal is that when they fire the gun, it's a water pistol.
Yeah.
In the behind the scenes video, they were showing how, you know, the stagehands were spraying with a spray bottle just off camera and stuff. But Hubert started being like, what the f? And you had a proposal for emo Twitter to use this GIF.
Yeah, one of like my favorite GIFs is
because he's good at looking super vile.
Oh my god,
the water's dripping. He looks sweaty like a snake.
Yeah, and his like neck jowls are shaking as he's screaming. What the?
He really like when I say a shout out to Hubert Smalls. Everyone in this video, like Kellen does great, but the guy who plays Hubert Smalls
is amazing.
Is amazing in this music video.
Even the girl so much.
Yeah, the girl who like is disrespected by him at the beginning and then winks at Kellen later.
Yeah,
she does a good job. The friends in the band who help with the heist are like, I don't know. Everyone does. It was a really nice collection of efforts.
But yeah, the big reveal is that it's just water. And my proposal was that everyone
he knows it's an inside job. Quick,
right. But he's still tied to the chair. And he gets arrested anyway. But like my proposal is that everyone loves the Tom DeLonge gift from First Date, where he's like, "What the?" And it's even better when you put the Matrix thing behind him. But like the other side of that coin is you might need a "what the gif" when it's not like. Good vibes, bro. Like you're actually pissed. This should be the de facto gif for like, what the what the right. And they're throwing cash at all the bank tellers.
They're protected. So what's awesome about this is like it was never about one they are throwing as much money as they can to everyone who in their eyes deserves it, right? All of the 2.5 million that Hubert has been illegally siphoning or whatever the story is. And then they go to the same bar where they planned it, and they're popping champagne. The news report in the background.
Yeah.
Hubert Smalls has been arrested.
25 years.
Oh, yeah.
1 year for each 100,000? Is that? Yeah.
Yeah, and watch it again, because we're gonna,
as soon as we hit stop.
Happy birthday to me. This is the greatest discovery since Magellan, I think, was me becoming aware of Pierce the Veil a decade after they were famous.
Not even Pierce the Veil, just King for a Day.
I actually don't know enough about Magellan.
He might have been a piece of shit. Probably was, actually. But yeah, happy birthday, man. I'm glad we did it. It feels like such a treat to just like, it, we're going 2012 because
be a slightly different pod for a week, but it's really in the wheelhouse. Yeah, we're not going to like bend it too much.
I do really like we've talked a bit about how like early 2000s people were kind of trying some new sounds, and then it seems like later in the decade people like really kind of refined it and figured out like the way to blend whatever the new thing was with like something that's a little catchier, a little more refined. I like you talking about all the breakdowns we endured, the pig squeals, the crabcore at the Hangout, Perry Hose Highway Company, in order to eventually get to this song, because it takes elements of pop rock. It takes elements of, early Chiodo's breakdowns, which were great, but they weren't quite so polished. And then we landed here.
Magellan was more of a circumnavigation thing, I'm learning real quick after a Google, so maybe less of not a great comparison as far as exploring or discovering goes, but
all right,
moving on. Yeah, what a treat. It's just a great, we've said it already, so we enjoy it because it's the logical, Warped Tour's dead now. I think in the article I wrote, like, it may not have killed the 2000s, but it carries the weight of a wooden stake or whatever, because at that point Warped Tour seemed like a zombie to me. But that kind of sums up my thoughts anyway, and it's a deserving end, punctuation mark, because it shows how much had changed, which is a fucking lot. We talk about the stuff dating back to maybe even Israel Boy or Dashboard or Postal Service, or some of those 2002 things that like kicked off this journey. And you think about 12 years, things had gotten a touch more sinister.
Right.
And, looking back, now that we're adults and we look back at the events that took place, it's like, yeah, I could see why they were so angry.
Right.
Those post 2008 years were not that show, but
yeah,
it was less far like, Jordan Pundik on Pundik. Gotcha. Him like marveling or being like irreverent about video editing software that had come to be in 2002 when My Friends Ever You dropped. Really fun music video, but like look, we're comparing apples and oranges, but like we're trying to help tell the story of the decade.
It was pretty inconsequential in 2002.
No, yeah. I mean, nothing against, we love Newfound Glory, obviously, but yeah, things were different, and we're just trying to help put the puzzle pieces together best we can here. And I appreciate you indulging me, Tom. Thanks.
Of course, the song fucking rules.
Yeah. We went into the 90s a little bit for your birthday, so
Yeah.
who knows what that opens up for the
Yeah.
future. So nice to learn more. I feel like we're, at least laying some groundwork for
sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
I want to give a song of the week.
I do want to.
I kind of mentioned them earlier. I mean, this is old. This is I think this is also 2012. The Word Alive came out with an album called Deceiver that reminds me of the newfound freedom I had when riding my fixed gear bike all over Northern Virginia. The opening track, The Hounds of Anubis, is really fun. About 10 years old at this point, but I don't know. There's something about this band that's just like so re-listenable. And it gets real heavy at times, real catchy other times. 2012 was quite a year for metalcore, man. I would really like to go back and probably do 2012 again. I think I would relive that year of my life if I could.
I would not have.
I was living with the girls.
Yeah.
Below.
I saw you in DC. I came to see the rally to restore sanity and or
yeah.
Fear. We camped out on you didn't, but you were a gracious host. And I got to see you, but my college buddies had kind of come in. And one of them was like really ungrateful for the hospitality. He was being kind of a bitch that weekend. So, well, doesn't matter. It was good to see you. And yeah, it was a fun event.
Yeah. All right. What do you got?
How about How Not to Drown by CHVRCHES and Robert Smith?
CHVRCHES?
CHVRCHES. I love the Waves and the CHVRCHES. Yeah, that's another 2010s thing that we don't have to really address on our normal iteration of the show. Yeah, just letters being different and stuff.
Right. Well, awesome. I think we'll probably head to a special birthday post show for the Patreon supporters.
Talk about the mother we share.
The what?
I don't even know where I was going with that.
I just didn't hear you.
Oh, it's a CHVRCHES song.
Okay. All right. Well, love you all. Everyone, tweet at Pat. Tell him happy birthday. Tweet the show at _reminiscent_FM.
It'll be my first birthday as a dad.
Oh.
Pretty wild. Bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for indulging us. This was such a fun episode to record, especially in person at Pat's house. Make sure to hit Pat up on Twitter at _reminiscent_FM and wish him a happy birthday. Seriously, everyone, get off your ass and do it. This guy's my best friend. We got to show him some love. Thank you all so much for listening. If you'd like to support the show on Patreon, you can head to patreon.com/reminiscent. We love you all so much, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.